Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Captain America 4 again. We're going to talk about it because very esteemed video game director, creator, Hideo Kojima was confused by the movie. He didn't understand what was going on.
Because, like we pointed out many times, if you don't watch Disney Plus show, you're not going to know what the hell's going on.
Right. And this is coming from a guy who makes confusing games himself, right? Mm-hmm. But he said that he did not watch The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and he didn't know what's going on. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about Rob Liefeld saying that Kevin Feige is spent and his best days are behind him and they need to replace him with somebody else to run Marvel. We're going to talk about the drop-off again for Captain America 4. It actually dropped from opening day to, I think, Friday to Friday, it dropped 82%. Now, for the weekend, it was 68%, but it's a massive failure, right? And I do not expect Thunderbolts to do better. I really don't. I mean, it's just the leftovers. They should have just called the team the leftovers, because that's basically what they are. I mean, we're talking like all the D-list characters. I'm like, my God, who doesn't have a movie, who doesn't have a Disney Plus show at this point? So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you will get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
If you're looking to get notified of new videos, sometimes you can't depend on YouTube because we've been getting complaints that YouTube is not sending notifications to everybody, even if you have the bell rung. So check out clownshishtv.substack.com. That's clownshishtv.substack.com. And we will post our videos or links to our videos over there. You will get an email whenever we upload. You'll know when we've got new stuff for you to watch. Right. So thank you very much for that. So this is his tweet. We're going to look at that. And then we're going to look at the media kind of being like, we don't understand. Why is he confused?
Well, it's not that hard to figure out. I think with half a brain. Oh, but you said the media. That explains it.
Yeah, some of the media outlets were like, we don't understand. I'm confused as to why you're confused. And again, coming from Kojima, who did Metal Gear Solid and many other games, I mean, this has a little bit of weight to it because this is a guy who plays with the narrative structure sometimes. And he's like, I don't understand what the hell's going on. He said, I watched Captain America Brave New World in IMAX. I vaguely remember Sam receiving the shield in Endgame, but when did he officially become Cap? Is it because I haven't seen the Falcon, the Winter Soldier? Yes. And what's this about the Avengers being reorganized? I'm also getting it mixed up with the Thunderbolts trailer. That's not good.
Okay, so this is the same thing that happened with the Marvels as well. You had characters, you had Photon and you had Ms. Marvel, that unless you watched the shows, you didn't know who the hell they were. No. And the problem is Disney keeps trying to do these shows and movies to try to double dip with the fans. But usually people, unless you're like such a diehard, you have to see everything. Normal people mostly just go to the movies and they just watch the movie. So they're very confused, especially since this is basically a 20-year-old Hulk movie sequel as well.
Yeah.
Very confused about it. It's not that hard to understand why they're confused. If you didn't watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which we kept saying leading into this, you were going to be lost. And that's exactly what happened. It's really not that hard to understand if you're being honest and not biased like the media is doing.
So this person here said even Kojima wants to see Bucky as Captain America. Chaotic Nerd says we're all wondering why he became Cap. There wasn't a need to make him Cap. Whimsical Wizard says exactly, it's Captain America movie, not just it's a Captain America move that's just not a Captain America movie. In fact, you have to watch the Incredible Hulk, the Falcon, and the Eternals just to understand what's going on. Is insane.
I forgot about that. You have to watch Eternals too.
Yeah, see, the thing about the MCU is that until phase 4, it was pretty accessible, right? Like, I understand they do stuff like this in the comic books, right? But the comic books, at least the big storylines and all that, like a lot of people followed a lot of the books and they were doing it for cross marketing. And then when the comics were like 75 cents, it wasn't a big deal to be like, oh, you got to go pick up this issue of X-Men or whatever. And they would also recap it or put like a little editorial note, and say like, hey, go see Avengers issue 72 or whatever to understand what was going on. And you can't really do that with Marvel. I mean, the only thing you could do is like an 80s style, like previously in the MCU, and then like recap everything.
This one person said, James Gunn said, I think he's basically trying to say that people shouldn't have to do their homework just to go to the movies. And that's what I feel like it is. It's like, well, leading up to it, we said, if you didn't watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You probably weren't going to know what the hell was going on because, last you saw him, he was getting the shield. Then you weren't sure what he was going to do. Unless you watched that show, you weren't going to see him actually become Cap. And that's what happens. Like I said, the same thing happened with Marvels. People didn't go because they're like, who the hell's Photon and Ms. Marvel? And they also didn't really care for Captain America or Captain Marvel. But
it was the same with Doctor Strange too. It was basically a sequel to WandaVision.
Right. If you didn't watch it,
you had no idea. Like our son, who actually is mostly up on the MCU stuff, went to go see Doctor Strange 2 before he watched WandaVision. He's like, I have no idea what the hell is going on with Wanda. What the hell is going on here? And
then he watched WandaVision after, and he's like, oh yeah, but you really had to watch WandaVision to understand it. And he thought that was stupid. It's like, why would you do that? The problem with Disney Plus, and it's been since end of 2019. So after they had the Endgame thing, and then we go into phase 4 of the MCU, they spread themselves too thin by putting it too many places, and you expect everybody to watch all this shit, but not everybody wants to watch all your shit.
Yeah, what they're trying to do, again, is they're trying to mimic the comics where you had your monthly comic book series and people pick these series up, and then they do these big crossover events. And it doesn't work with the movies, right? Again, the whole purpose of the MCU was to make Marvel more accessible for normies. And when you make it as convoluted as the comic books, like comic book fans might be all about, but like, yeah, this is great. This references this and this references that and whatever. Yeah. But normies, they just want to sit in the theater for 2 hours, turn their brains off for the most part, and just watch, a mostly self-contained piece of entertainment. And Marvel did that well for the first couple of phases because, like, you didn't have to watch every Marvel movie. You could watch the Thor movies, not watch the Captain America movies, and still kind of know what was going on with the Avengers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they all kind of went off in their own direction. Now, I think when they really started to integrate things a lot tighter was actually Captain America 3 Civil War, because that was basically an Avengers movie. And then everything became a lot more intertwined. But even the Spider-Man movies, for the most part, were pretty kind of self-contained.
Well, here's the thing, too. Thunderbolts, they're going to have issues again because most of the characters in Thunderbolts were introduced in the programs on Disney Plus.
Yeah, they're all leftover characters from other
than Bucky,
shows. Bucky and what's his name, the Russian guy.
No, he was in the Black Widow movie, but that was basically a Disney Plus.
It was basically a Disney Plus thing.
So you have Red Guardian, and you have the other Black Widow. It's her sister. And then now the one girl Ghost, she was, in the one movie. So you probably know her.
The bad guy from Ant-Man 2.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, what, where the hell? And they're talking, they might put female Taskmaster in it. And it's like,
they are.
Like, I mean, seriously, it is just the leftovers. Then you have US Agent from Falcon the Winter Soldier.
Right. So once again, you had to watch.
You could have had the West Coast Avengers. I mean, this is what blows my mind. Like, you had most of the team, if not all the team, for the West Coast Avengers. You had Vision, Scarlet Witch, you had Hawkeye, you had US Agent. We're doing Wonder Man pretty soon. I mean, you could have had the West Coast Avengers.
They would have, it is because it has Avengers in the name. It probably would have done well if they just used that as a movie, or I don't want to do a show because they probably would have done a show out of it, and if people aren't going to watch it. That's just it. People might have 2 hours to give you to watch a film. They don't have 8 hours plus to watch a show.
Yeah, this is funny. Another Feige fuck up. So let's talk about Movie Web here. We're confused that you're confused. Now, actually, they're
confused. It's not that hard to follow.
They're actually Anthony gets it.
Oh, good. Okay, never mind, Anthony. I apologize.
This is an Anthony that gets it. Yeah, I picked this one because this guy gets it. There were some other articles that were like, we're confused why he's confused. Is he just playing stupid?
Then go, Anthony.
No, this guy actually calls it out. He says Hideo Kojima has gained a reputation for joining the likes of Stephen King and sharing his opinions on new movies on social media. However, the Japanese game designer's take on Captain America: Brave New World has not exactly been welcomed by MCU fans who reacted to Kojima's confusion about the movie.
No, it's not MCU fans. It is the media, because most MCU fans who are normal fans, not like the people that watch everything, understand why it's confusing.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe has become a sprawling mass of threaded storylines, almost 2 decades of storytelling and moments that may not quite make sense to those who have not seen everything the Marvel machine has to offer. Seems that Kojima has not been keeping up with Disney Plus, including the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and he questioned Sam Wilson's position as Captain America. And they said Thunderbolts is going to be a very similar action-based movie and coming to cinemas in May. And it's the same thing. It's a bunch of leftover characters from Disney Plus shows.
We said this before this movie came out, that this is going to happen. We said it.
Yeah. They said, while the opinions of others can be helpful to fans who are on the fence about whether a movie is worth spending time and money on, that really only counts if people are on the same page. This is the reason why many movies have vastly different scores from critics and audiences. And for many, Kojima's lack of MCU knowledge makes it hard for fans to find much benefit in his insight. He's actually coming at it as a normie.
Yeah, but here's my thing. We said with with the Marvels, the same thing. We said people aren't going to know who these characters are. It's been an ongoing problem. Anybody who's followed this can see it. I don't understand how this is so hard for people to understand.
On the back of his comments, users responded with a lack of respect for the gaming icons. Again, this is Kojima. He's a massive influence on gaming, and he's like, I don't understand what the hell is going on. This person says that this is the problem we have with the critics who didn't like the movie. Most didn't even understand the movie. Some started asking, where did Arishem come from? When literally a movie comes out or a series, you don't even go out and see it. Then you get mixed up on the way. This person said, well, obviously he's not keeping up. Otherwise, he'd know. He should have watched Falcon the Winter Soldier. Okay. Maybe ask someone.
Here's what's pissing me off about this. You don't have to watch all that shit. No. Again, somebody might have time to do a 2-hour movie. Somebody might not be as invested as you. People don't always have time to sit down through 8 episodes of a show or more to watch it. And how many hours invested, especially if they're a busy person themselves. It's unfair. It's ridiculous to expect them to understand it. It's up to the studio to make sure that you make it clear in the beginning of the film for those who didn't see everything.
Yeah. I mean, that's just it. It's like, I mean, again, you look at Multiverse of Madness, and there's so much inside baseball on that. And even then, even if you watch WandaVision, it didn't make a lot of sense because Wanda just turned evil. Like,
for no reason. Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah. There were others who weren't really bothered by what Kojima had to say, whatever it was he was talking about. They say kind of sick of hearing from this guy.
Yeah, because they're just mad. So it's easy. I don't know what to say. So
they're Marvel stands.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah. So now
I've watched a lot of the Marvel stuff too, and I think you're full of shit.
I think, as soon as they start getting into the multiverse, again, it works in comics, and it works in comics if you've got, comics were more accessible. Marvel comics were more accessible back in like the 80s, 90s, because we didn't have as much history, but they were fairly straightforward to follow, and they were inexpensive. Like when I was a kid, when I was 12, 13 years old buying comic books, I could buy most of what was on the stands, and I could still find at a fairly reasonable price the back issues I needed to get filled in on something. But they did explain it very clearly in Marvel, like, hey, this is from this issue, this is what happened.
The problem I see is, and we saw this with webcomics, we saw this with creating anything. When a story gets too big and there's too much to read, people don't want to invest the time.
No.
And so what's going on is they've made the MCU so big, and they added all these extra shows to Disney Plus that a lot of people don't want to pay for, and everything else. It's just too much. So they're just like, I'll watch what I want to watch, but I don't have to watch all of it. And especially after, the pandemic, people realized they didn't have to watch everything. And trying to guilt them and say, well, you have to watch those shows to get it, is really stupid in a lot of ways.
Yeah. It is. And they're asking too much. And it's almost like you need to get to, like, Endgame would have been a good jumping off point, and then you rest Marvel.
That's what people did.
Right. And then when they started to introduce, like, instead of making it like, okay, let's work our way toward the next easily understandable storyline with a clear big bad and a clear goal, like they did with Thanos and Infinity War. And instead they're like, no, let's introduce the multiverse and all these Disney Plus shows. And, it's like, what the hell are you doing? Everything is so damn hard.
Well, I'm sure Disney's telling him to do it too, which, to be fair.
So yeah, no, because to them, every Marvel product is a commercial for the next 5 Marvel products. That's why they tried to do it with Star Wars too. And it doesn't work. It's like, it worked with Infinity War because I think it had never been done to that scale before, but you can't repeat that. Cause right now we've got Secret Wars just a couple of years off, and like nobody gives a shit. They don't care. Where are the stakes? What stakes? Nobody cares about Marvel now. All the original Avengers are gone. Yeah,
and again, like, unless you watch the shows, you don't know what's going on with the movies when they come out.
No.
So yeah, Rob Liefeld said, get Feige off the mound he spent. And it's like, people are mad about it, but I don't disagree because when he came in, they basically handed him a plan for phase 1 through 3. He just took it over. But when he had to go to do his retreat for phase 4, 5, and on, that was when he was in charge. And that has been when it fell off a cliff.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's an 82% drop from opening day to, a week later, and Liefeld's like, get him off there. But now we've already got, people, and this is the thing, this movie has become a very weird, polarizing. It's like a cup half full, half empty scenario. We've got people that like the movie that are like, well, the movie did better than people thought it was going to do, which is true. Right. And they think that the critics are full of it or they're biased or whatever. But then we have the other side of it, which is like, yeah, but you can see the decline in Marvel.
But right? This idiot here, it's already in profits because the budget was estimated $180 million. That was before promotion, all that, guys. That was like just, and I don't even know if all the reshoots are counted in there. Okay. And it's like, and it's at $211 million now. So it made money. No, sweetie pie. No, that's not how this works. You usually have to double that amount to at least 360, 400 million until it's break even.
Yeah. And this is not YouTubers pulling that number out of their ass. This is actually industry standard. This is something that anybody, like you read any trade publication, they're going to tell you the same thing.
And I mean, that's break even. And then because you have to figure they have to get residuals, theaters get cut. Just because they have that many ticket sales doesn't mean that they get to keep all that money. They don't, because theaters have to take their cut and everything else. This is not how this works. Like, oh, it's already profitable. It's not. It's not. Yeah. It really isn't, sweetie.
This guy says, honestly, I stopped with the movies after Endgame. They just went downhill. The exception was Deadpool, Wolverine, Last Spider-Man. Yeah, I agree.
And again, those are except for the last couple, and Deadpool, Wolverine was more a Fox thing, and Spider-Man was also a Fox thing. Feige, that was when Feige had to do his own stuff.
Bo DeMeo, showrunner of X-Men 97. Yikes, this is bad. Actually, Bo DeMeo and Rob Liefeld have been commiserating. They've been going back and forth. But I think they're looking at like Marvel's headed for the iceberg.
I mean,
they
already hit the iceberg to grind. Yes.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Fair. I mean, they're going to be completely, in the middle and honest about stuff. Maybe not, because they have reason to be mad.
Captain Kirk says Favreau would do a better job. Yeah, they said some of the best comic storylines have been mangled in the last 4 or 5 years. The Red Hulk story was good and it had a lot of character at its core, but it was reduced to a 7-minute side plot. That's what they're doing. They're taking bits and pieces of, classic comic book stories or more recent comic book stories that were well received, and then they're just putting them in the blender and hitting puree. This is what we get. Like, even as much as I liked Infinity War, it pales in comparison to the original Infinity Gauntlet, but they didn't have all those cosmic characters established yet. Like, I almost feel like you should have waited until you had Fantastic Four and fleshed out the Galactus and Silver Surfer and the Marvel Cosmos and all that stuff, because it felt small. Like, it felt small compared to the original comic. Yeah,
sorry, I'm just still stuck on you saying puree. Anyway, so they said that, it's on par with Morbius, Ant-Man 3, Kraven the Hunter, and Batman versus Superman for, the drop-offs.
Yeah. He does what Disney pays him to do. Put Liefeld on the mountain. He's energized. Eric Kennedy says 1 or 2 movies may be anomalies at this point. It's trend. That's it.
Yeah, I agree.
Even if you like this movie, and there are people that like this movie. Actually, I've had people write me and say, yeah, the movie's not bad. The trend is downward, and part of it isn't just the quality of the individual movie. It's the fact that you have to do all the homework before you go watch the movie.
Tired. They're just over it. They're just so, and it used to be like back in 2019. Yeah, you kept getting like a movie or 2 every year, closer to like the end of Endgame. But they were always, for the most part, you knew you were going to get something really good. And now it's just like it's going to be hit or miss, and you know it. And you have to go watch all this other stuff, supplemental stuff, before you can go understand what's going on. It's like when they put the Emperor on Fortnite before the last Star Wars film.
That was the most idiotic. And again, this is Disney. Disney wants every product they put out to be an advertisement for the next product. Mm-hmm. That's their end game. Disney's end game is consume as much as possible. It doesn't matter if it's good. You have to consume all of it, even the bad stuff, to understand what the hell is going on. And I have a bad feeling. I mean, as much as I like the visuals for Fantastic Four, I've got this nagging feeling that it's going to be more of the same. Like, you're going to have to understand all this backstory to understand why the Fantastic Four are in this other universe and where Galactus came from. And you know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's too much. It's too much. And I think they honestly, with any comic book universe or movie franchise or whatever, it's like, give it 10 years, tell your story, give it a rest, and then if you want to reboot it later, you can do that, because it's too much.
It's just too much, yeah.
So we're gonna wrap it up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.